And by mid-March, I was approached by a production company, WV Entertainment, which is Wilmer Valderrama Entertainment. It's his production company. And I was approached by the executive producer of the non-scripted, Jessica Acevedo, and a choreographer that's well known in the industry, Tim Milgram. And Tim and Jessica asked me to be involved in this docu-series. They really wanted to elevate the story and bring it to a larger audience to help the Wilkins gain access to Miranda, but also other family members that were impacted by this situation. Within a month, literally a month and a half of my reporting, Robert filed a lawsuit against me. So a lot of people will ask me, why were you sued? What's this lawsuit about? Well, Robert Shinn and Miranda and James, they filed a lawsuit against me in the state of Minnesota, which is still pending. And they alleged that I was defaming
their financial records or their bank accounts. So debt bondage is one of the more common forms of human trafficking that can happen in the entertainment industry. And so it's hard to think about human trafficking when you talk about the entertainment industry, because you just assume that because you see someone on TikTok or on Facebook or Instagram or on TV that they must be paid and being successful, and but the fact of the matter is that debt bondage is a huge part of human trafficking in the entertainment industry and in the sex trafficking industry. So debt bondage is when somebody claiming to be like your manager or someone who is, working for you, charges you for everything. So they might be charging you for your rent, for housing, for clothing. You might have to pay expenses to them for managing you. Like, they're going to find a way that no matter what you make, you owe them more. And so even if you make 100,000, they're going to say you owe me 120. And so it can look like you're making a shit ton of money, but they're telling you, well, no, I spent way more than you made. Debt bondage is one of the most common forms of human trafficking that happens. It's everywhere. It's also very, very common in the sex trafficking industry. So think of it in the massage parlors. And I'll just use this as an example because I live in Minnesota, and massage parlor, we have a huge problem with sex trafficking from certain parts of Asia. And it's very sad, but what these parlor owners do is they bring someone over from a foreign country. They promise them a green card, and then they take their ID. And once they get there, they are bound to that person. They say, you owe me money for your trip here. You owe me money for the rent. This is human trafficking. I'm shocked that he wasn't arrested. This is horrible. And I also know how these cults work, like, especially when it comes to human trafficking, which is what they're doing. I mean, allegedly. Human traffickers. Sounds like what's happening here is illegal. And the information I'm receiving is making me feel like human trafficking is happening. And that concerns me. Robert doesn't like people to have opinions. We're just listening. They do. They want to control everything. To me, what it kind of reminds me of is like a human trafficking network. It's less like a cult, it's less like a religion, and it's more like a pimp and trying to ruin their careers, and that my reporting was all lies and defamation, and I was slandering them, and that I wasn't sourcing any information. And really, the crux of it was, in my experience, based on what I've gone through in this lawsuit since 2022, is that they were really after where I was at with the production company. So who was I working with? What network was it going to be on? Who was involved? What was my contact with the Wilkins? What kind of relationship did I have with them? What kind of information was I getting from them? It was, we want to see your contract. We want to know if you're working with Netflix. We want to know who it is. And publicly, I couldn't say anything. One, I couldn't say what production company I was working with. Two, I couldn't say the network that we were working with. And three, I could not disclose
the details of this production publicly until it was announced by Netflix, which it was announced yesterday. So this is coming to Netflix on May 29th, 2024. I have been working on this series since the inception of this. I've been there the whole time. My role in the series is mixed. You'll see a little bit of me on camera, and but the bulk of my work was actually behind the scenes. And I did a lot of the work for the archives of records. So that's what I've been doing off camera when you guys don't see me here, or off audio, I guess, has been this behind the scenes project that I can now tell you I'm involved in. This is something I was 100% involved in. You will see my names in the credits, and it will be coming to you on May 29th, 2024. This lawsuit with Robert that he filed against me, he also filed it against former other bloggers and 2 former members in California, and then a group of dancers that left him after reporting went viral are suing him now. And so he's getting sued for human trafficking, fraud, unjust enrichment, sexual battery, gender violence, human trafficking, aiding and abetting human trafficking. There's a lot. And again, all allegations. And that lawsuit in California is still pending. And the story, I can't tell you anything about what you're going to see, but just know that it took a lot of care and it took a lot of work. And the producers on this series were so kind, so compassionate, really worked with the victims and the ex-members to help them feel comfortable telling their stories. What you're going to see is people being extremely vulnerable, and they're going to be sharing trauma that has never been revealed before. And what I have reported publicly hasn't really, it's scratched the surface, but you're going to get more in this in terms of like hearing directly from people. And those individuals that did come forward are so brave, so courageous for doing this. And I do hope that as a part of this, their voices are heard and that any justice that they seek can be found. I hope that this will help bridge relationships. Perhaps people will finally get out and leave and reunite with their families. Perhaps there could be some sort of criminal investigation. I don't really know, but the hope is that by telling their stories, there will be action that can happen. And I would not have been able to do this project without Wilmer Valderrama's production company and his executive producer, Jessica, who was so dedicated and completely compassionate and empathetic and worked diligently to make this happen. So, and then the director is Derek Doreen. He has done other work. And then the other production company is Dirty Robber, who has previously made films and series for Netflix. And the entire group was tremendous and so compassionate. And I think you're going to enjoy it. And I hope that it opens your eyes to what is out there and the potential predators that are there in this industry looking to prey on people. My lawsuit is ongoing, and I expect that once this is released, it's going to certainly change things. I don't know if additional legal action will take place. I don't know if this pastor is going to sue Netflix. I don't know if they're going to sue the director, the executive producer, if they're going to sue Wilmer's production company. But he has been fairly litigious in this, and I would anticipate that could happen. I don't anticipate that my lawsuit will go very far after this comes out, and that's why I've been pretty confident and haven't been worried about the lawsuit. And there's been a lot of very negative videos and negative people about me and this lawsuit and how I'm harming this group, and it couldn't be further from the truth. And I hope you all will have an opportunity to watch this on Netflix and see in your own eyes and hear from the people in their own words what they've experienced, because it's truly heartbreaking, and none of this should be happening, in my opinion, in 2024.